Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. And tonight we're broadcasting to you on our terrestrial affiliates from North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, KPNL, and Odyssey Radio. Remember, you can access our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SOR Newswire, rock out to some Bumblefoot, and so much more. Thank you for coming on in to this Saturday edition of the After Hours Show. We're going to have an awesome time as always. Definitely want to thank you all for coming on in. Yeah, it's going to be great. So I hope you guys had a great week. Haven't really been in the chat a lot during the week. So I'm totally ready to get to business tonight. We do have a guest in, the great guest, legend. Everybody knows him, loves him. Mr. Jim Goodall will be joining us a little bit later on tonight. So it should be a great time as always. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the chat. I already got the heads up from race fans, so I already know what's going on out here in the chat. And as always, we have Race Fan coming on in with the gold saying, good evening, Rob, saying good evening right back to you, Race Fan. Appreciate you coming in. Let's see, we have Lightwalkers getting that silver saying, hello, Rob G, Mr. Jim Goodall, and SOR friends. Appreciate you coming in. Then we got Tamoth Man holding up with the bronze, saying, hi, Rob. Appreciate you coming on in, Tamoth Man. Thanks for joining us tonight. Just making sure whenever it feels like something's too good to be true, usually is. So everything's going so swell. I want to look around, make sure everything's working right. Looks like we're good. Okay. Next up, we do have Laura Lobbs coming in saying hello. Hello, right back to you, Laura Lobbs. Thanks for coming in. We have James Horn saying hi. Hello, James Horn. Thank you for coming on into the After Hours this fantastic Saturday night. We have Luffy Pirate saying hello. Hello, right back to you, Luffy Pirate. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have Eternity Eternal saying hi, Rob G. Hey, Eternity Eternal. Thank you for coming on in. We appreciate you showing up tonight. We got T-Wise. No Jessica tonight? I was just looking. Yeah, so Jessica Jones, Crypto Huntress, has moved from, she used to do Saturday and Sunday, so now she just does Sundays. So you got to make sure you're tuning in Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time for the Crypto Huntress, And then, we follow right behind with the After Hours Sunday night edition. So thank you for inquiring, just in case other people were wondering, right? Yes, all right. So we got Roger Murray in the building with some more facts. Totally love it when Roger Murray comes through with the facts. Roger Murray saying February 21st, 1954, 70th anniversary, President Dwight Eisenhower, secret meeting with extraterrestrials, visitor Palm Springs, California, Edwards Air Force Base. Wow. Kind of hits kind of hard, right? Because if that really happened, right, as a lot of people theorize, if that happened, um, yeah, then what a lot of people have been saying recently, it kind of validates that. So that's a good one to bring up and a good one to touch and cover on. Didn't realize that it was 70 years since then. So potentially they've been trying to tell us what to do for at least 70 years, or at least give us guidance. And maybe we've listened, maybe we haven't. Chances are we haven't. Yeah. So appreciate that, Roger Murray. Thanks for coming in. Also, who else do we have? Let's see. We have Kathy Evans saying hi. Hello, Kathy Evans. Thank you for coming in. We have the Christian Wind. Hi, SOR. Skip here. My phone's broken. Just listening today. All right. Well, definitely appreciate you coming on in and listening in. I hope we can give you a great show. Usually it's pretty good over here, so hopefully we get more of the same tonight. Thank you for coming in, Christian Wind. We have Magneticus Attractus, who has stepped in saying, hello, Rob G. Hello, right back to you, Magneticus. The man with the plan. He's going to build us something special one day, I'm telling you. For sure. Lars Jansen saying, good morning, all. Good morning, Lars Jansen. Appreciate you coming on in. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, we got Puck Elf. Puck Elf, hey, 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 hugs and percentages. Percentages to all, okay? I'm with you, Puck Elf. Thank you for coming on in. Hugs and everything to everyone out there. We got Stargazer saying hello, folks. Hello, Stargazer. Thank you for coming on in. We got Body Technician saying morning. Morning right back to your Body Technician. Let's see. Okay, we got JSCO77 saying hello, everyone. Hello, JSCO77. Thank you for coming in. Jessica McCreary saying hello. Hello, right back to you, Jessica McCreary. Thank you for coming on in tonight. Let's see. Who else do we got here? We have Facebook user saying good evening, everyone. Appreciate you coming in. LowCam51 tonight. I know I keep saying that. I created a page for something else that I'm doing the other day, but I didn't create one for Social Dig. Tonight, Lil Cam. By the time we talk tomorrow, that'll be official. Thank you for coming in too, Lil Cam 51. Appreciate you. Let's see. Lulu Bell. Hello, lovely people. Hello, right back to you, Lulu Bell. Thanks for coming on in. Thank you for coming in. Let's see. I would love to do this, Roger Murray. Next guest, former female race car driver Danica Patrick on the subject of UFOs and government disclosure. Man, tag her, let her know that we would love to have her. Believe me, we could talk some UFOs. That's for sure. We got Heidi Pop. Hey, is Jim in two places? Is he? We'll have to take a look at that. Let's see. Okay. All right. Who else do we have? Dragonfly. Evening, Robin. SOR chat. Thank you for coming on in. Appreciate you. Jason McDaniel. I've been gone for a year. Hi, everyone. I know how that happens, Jason McDaniel. Thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate you coming back. And just to follow up with your question, what happened to Dave? Dave is safe and sound. Dave is safe and sound up in British Columbia, Canada. He runs Monday through Friday, and then I take over for Saturday and Sundays. So you just happen, after a year of being gone, you just happen to tune in at the perfect time when the stars aligned for you to take part of the after hours. So it's an honor to have you back here, and really hope you enjoyed the show. And then once Monday comes in, Dave Scott takes over the conductor seat and runs the train from Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Pacific until midnight. And then here we run 8 p.m. Pacific until 11 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Awesome guests. Check out the catalog. We have some awesome stuff going on here, and we have a lot of good things coming soon as well. So welcome back. Let me see. We got Susan Alloway. Thank you for coming on in, Susan Alloway. I do appreciate you. Let's see. Puck Elf. Woo, archaeology, great topic for Elf. Yeah. It's actually probably, if you think about it, this whole thing, archaeology probably plays a huge part in this, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit later on tonight. Let's see, who else do we have? We have Doug Shelby. Doug Shelby, happy Saturday night, everyone. Well, it's already Sunday for our Aussie SOR heads. True. It definitely is. So we definitely want to welcome Doug Shelby in the building. Thanks for coming on in. And Gaia Love 1. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Gaia Love, for coming on in. We appreciate you. We got Vaughn. Hello, wonderful brothers and sisters. Hi, everyone. Hey, Vaughn. Thank you for coming on in. Let's see. Okay. All right. We got Sandra Heap saying hello, SOR. Hi, Rob G. Hey, Sandra Heap. Thank you for coming on in. I appreciate you. Okay. And let's talk about it. Wait, actually. Okay, Jason McDaniel, yep. And then we have Doug Shelby. Let's talk about this for a second, right? Patrick Mahomes is a tough dude for real. Man, he kind of reminds me of Michael Jordan. You just can't beat him. I told my stepfather, we were in there watching the game. Oh, let me set the stage. It was such a beautiful thing, right? Everyone in my family, I'm in California, so obviously they're all 49er fans. Everyone except for me, right? I'm the only one who isn't a 49er fan. So I was able to go in a house full of 49ers, watch this game from beginning to end, and watch Patrick Mahomes do something Mahomesy. Mahomesy is all you can describe it. He came in there and did what a quarterback's supposed to do. You have the ball. It's up to you to take that team down the field. That's exactly what he did. And Kansas City Chiefs are now Super Bowl champions. And yes, I did consume the tears of every 49er fan there. And it felt so good. Give it up for the Kansas City Chiefs one time. Give it up. All right, so I had to point that out. Thanks, Doug Shelby, for reminding me. I would have totally glanced over that. Let's see. We got Rafin. Rafin is in the building. Hello, Rob G in chat room. Hey, Rafin, thanks for coming in. We got Shell L. Hello from the Pacific Northwest. Hello, Shell L. Right down here from California, Southern California. Let's see. We got Jennifer Patterson. Thank you for coming in. We got Alex Sanchez saying you're okay. Thank you for coming in, Alex Sanchez. We do appreciate you. Let's see. We have Jason McDaniel with the super chat. Thank you so much for your support and appreciation of Spaced Out Radio. and welcoming you back in the whole thing, and you coming in swinging. So we appreciate you, and hopefully it's what you remembered and better is what I hope for you. Let us know though. Comments, like or dislikes, please let us know. Let's see. We have Who else do we have? We got Stargaze. We got Bob Berkins just stepped in the building saying test. And we got a test right back at you, Bob Berkins. Thank you for coming on in. Let's see. Okay. All right. We got Vaughn hitting us up with a super chat. Do appreciate your support. The Spaced Out Radio, Vaughn. Hey, beautiful brothers and sisters, and the wonderful Rob G. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Vaughn, and you are appreciated. And thank you for your support, and thank you for coming on in. We have a great group of people here, period, just all around the board. And it's a great place to be. Super Knower, thank you for coming in. We do appreciate you. We got Bright Becca Boo saying hello. Hello, Becca. Thank you for coming on in. We do appreciate you. If you're new, thanks for joining us. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio After Hours. I'll run this real quick. We go 7 days a week here, Monday through Friday with Dave Scott, 9 p.m. Pacific until midnight. And then right here at the After Hours, we run Saturday and Sunday. So that's 7 days a week. You're going to find something going on here every single day, and it's always going to be epic. So welcome, and I do appreciate you coming on in, Becca Boo. Let me see. All right. Vaughn back in the building with another super chat. We do appreciate you, Vaughn. Thanks for your support of Spaced Out Radio. We do appreciate you. Okay, Destiny Rocks saying hello with the wavy emoji hands. Thank you, Destiny Rocks, for coming in. We got Pix Smack Talk with Rob G. Let's go, Pix. Let's go. We could do that. I like that. I like that. Let's see. Smash the like button, please, everyone. We love this show, and this show loves all of you guys right back. And Ginger Turtle 43, what's up from Newfoundland? Wow. Welcome. All the way from Newfoundland, all the way here to California, and the love goes all around the globe. We got Eric Freeman saying that game was rigged and scripted, my dude. I know I can see how it could seem that way, Eric. I'll tell you what. I dislike the Niners so much, but to see my family members in such a state of shock, I really felt for them in that moment. You know what I mean? I really felt for them, genuinely, and I really had to, make sure that they knew that hey, this is just a game, right? And I really care about your feelings. That lasted for about 30 seconds, and then I was right back to smashing on the 49ers. So thanks for the comment. Thanks for coming in. Poncho Zork. All right. Thanks for coming in. Talking about Spaced Out Radio, question mark. Yeah, we can't forget the Poncho Zork. No. Okay, and I think, yep. So now we are at the bottom. So I appreciate everybody for coming on in. Thank you so much for joining us tonight at the After Hours. It's going to be an awesome show. This is Saturday night, so you know how we get it started. We go ahead and we hop into the time machine and go back and take a look at the week that was Spaced Out Radio, because it's very important that we do so. Just like Jason hasn't been here for a year, Jason, right on time, you'll get to see the week in review, everything that happened this week at Spaced Out Radio. And if you guys decide you want to go and take a look at that, you can jump into our archives, which are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And here we go.
I mean, the mind is something that it can play tricks on you. It's not 100% accurate. It changes things. I mean, how did you get a hold of your mind in order to do this and know that these experiences were happening?
I mean, I guess it was just all happening like at the time, you know what I mean? I guess you don't think about it, it's strange. And then I guess you go into it knowing that something's going to happen. You go into it knowing that something's going to happen. But I've also had, because I wanted to microdose mushrooms because I've heard that they can help build more neural pathways in the brain, and I heard it's very healing. But I've also had bad experiences where I wasn't prepared for it correctly, and it was a horrible experience. Like, it makes you feel bad, depressed, down. You're like, why did I do this? So there can be but what I learned from that, and there's a big learning experience. When I had Chris on my show, he agreed with me about from Forbidden Knowledge News. He agreed. He said the mushrooms will always teach you something, and that's really important, because what happened was that day that I took them and it was bad and I was really depressed, I realized that I wasn't living my life right, and that I was making bad decisions in my life, and all that was happening was the mushrooms were showing me that. They'll show you things whether you're prepared for it or not. So it's like when you go into these experiences, you have to be very responsible and very ready, as much as you can be, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've never done it. I've never done either. I don't think I will, because I just, how can I put it?
Well, you're having experiences without it, so you don't need,
Yeah.
I'm not, so you're already having like experiences that you can't explain. So maybe for you it's easier to connect consciously, whereas some people need it, some people don't. I don't know.
Very much appreciate it. Let's go into the forests of Washington State, because much like British Columbia, we're in that natural rainforest area that the trees are thick, they're big, and they have their own secrets.
That's for sure. They do.
What have you found in the forest?
Well, I've had a couple experiences as far as with Bigfoot is concerned. I'll talk about one incident where Ander, my paranormal partner in crime, we were up at a place called the Foss River, and we were hiking up the Foss River, which goes up to a place called Necklace Lakes if you keep going up there. And at the end of this, before it starts heading up vertical, we both felt like we needed to lay down and take a nap, like just this intense feeling, like we had to take a nap for some reason. And we were filming all of this at the time, with GoPros, because we were on the trail. And he checked his watch, because we had it timed with the GoPros. Everything was synced, and that there was now a time difference between his watch and the GoPros. My GoPro actually failed, just went dead. And then after that, so did his. It was just a really odd thing that happened in that area. And I wonder if infrasound didn't have something to do with what happened to us in that area.
So take us through that day. What type of area were you in? What was it all about? What were you there looking for Sasquatch?
Yes, actually we were. We wanted to film the trail, and then there had been previous for me, I've had some encounters on that trail. And so that's why we went back there, is because of the things that had happened. So we crossed this log bridge, and then it was like we got hit by a wall, and we were just like super tired. All of a sudden, it didn't make any sense. We had only hiked probably about 3.5 miles in, which isn't a lot for us. Back in that day. But it was just unsettling. And then of course my GoPros started acting up, and then his did, and then there wasn't, things weren't lining up. So we could only assume at that time that maybe it was infrasound or some kind of electromagnetic anomaly of some sort that was in that area.
From what I'm hearing, they can't get into it. Every time they go to log into it, immediately within seconds, they're shut back out. This also, what a lot of people don't understand is it also affects MUFON Canada. To me, that's targeted, Bob. No other UFO site has been taken down as far as I know. I do know from sources that there have been issues with an increase in trolling and an increase of negativity that they've never had before with the television show Ancient Aliens. And I don't know if this is a targeted attack or if this is somebody who maybe has a beef with MUFON and they're like, hey, I can hack this. This seems simple. Or whether it's something more.
Well, I mean, look, you know as well as I do, there's 100 people out there that would do it just for the giggles. They don't need another motivation. Then there's another bunch of people that probably want to download all the data at once and get access to it without anybody knowing they got it. And you just don't have, it could be any and all of these things. So we don't know what kind of security measurements, security checking, security measures, data checking, what kind of logging they have. Do they log every entry that interacts with the website so they can go back and do forensics on it? We don't know the details, and they're not telling us.
What do you think happened? Do you think it's an inside job?
I don't think it's an inside job. I think it's an outside job done by talented hackers. But it does appear to me they have corrupted the code so that it can't restart. That's not good.
Right, my man. Skinwalker Ranch. First time you step on it, you kind of get that sense of a feeling like, hey, this place isn't so bad. Nice and calm.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's more like confusion, right? Why is it so calm here? Why is this so nice? Wow, like you almost want to whisper, what's going on? Where's the aliens?
How long did it take before things started happening there?
I mean, it's so I was there. We would be on the ranch, generally speaking, Monday through Friday. Supposed to be 12 weeks and went a little longer than that, but up becoming, 4 months. And every week something happened. If we had, a bulk of a week without anything happening, it was odd. It was odd. So I would think that I just don't recall how long it was, how much time I was there before we started filming. Because it's as soon as we started filming and getting everybody focused on stuff that things started happening. I think that, in that episode, in that first season 3 kickoff meeting in that episode, we were getting that, 1.65 gigahertz weird frequency. We had a planes doing surveillance overhead, right off the bat, which is, again, it was cool, but, the think it was maybe only week 2. We had the guys out from UAPX who were a couple of guys who were on board the Nimitz during the Tic Tac encounter. And we saw, did this thing, fired a rocket into an area of the triangle to try to stimulate some activity, trigger something. And a UAP popped into the sky in the same place that it was seen quite often. And I saw it and it was like, oh my God. And of course, right away, you want to make sure it's not a star, satellite, plane, space station, whatever. And of course, Eric does all that. He's got all the devices and it's nothing. And you're like, oh my God, is it going to do so? Waiting for it to do something. And then it disappears. And that was like that was not only the first real experience on the ranch, it was a real UFO, right? A real UAP, like verified, documented. And so that was, a heck of a way to kick off, a summer on the ranch. Like I didn't have to wait 3 months for one. It was week 1 or week 2. So, like I said, right away. I mean, and that's not to take into account all of the electronics things that happen constantly. It's like it's Do not ever go on Skinwalker Ranch expecting anything you have electronic to work properly. It just won't.
Why
Yeah.
do you think so many outdoors people, hunters especially, haven't had encounters with this creature?
To be honest with you, I've actually had, my dad would take me, like I said earlier, all over the country, and people would approach us. And we would actually end up meeting a lot of people who were hunters. Like, they weren't out hunting when we were there, but like we'd be in town, and then we would talk to people, and they would ask us like, oh, like, like locals and stuff, we'd like talk to them. And a lot of the local hunters would tell us that they actually had experiences out there, and they would say like, oh, like, I had an experience, and we believe and whatever. And I didn't believe until this and that. And so, we actually met a lot of people all over the country who would talk to us about it. And so we would actually end up, I don't know if you ever watched, I'm sure you have, but I think it's Finding Bigfoot, when they have the town meetings. We sort of kind of like started that back in the day. We used to have those little get-togethers in like these little towns. So when we started watching the show, my dad and I would be like, oh my God, like we kind of like did that. That's what we used to do. We used to get all like local people because we want to know like where the hot spots are of, whatever area that we're in. Like I actually, let's see, I wrote this down for you guys. So these are the states that I had like the best activity in, and probably the only states that most people will have activity in. Washington State, number 1, California, Pennsylvania, Michigan, New York, Ohio, Oregon, and Texas. So if you live in an area near there and you guys want to go out and start looking, you got a pretty good chance of seeing something. If you're out in the woods, like you got to be smart about it. Number 1 thing I always say, safety first, no matter what. Don't go out alone. Don't be stupid. Don't think you're going to go out there and like, camp by yourself and, just find Bigfoot like overnight. We've all been out there for years and years and years, and a sighting's it's not often. It's pretty rare.
All right. So that was the SOR Weekly Review. Another awesome week of content here at Spaced Out Radio. I'm telling you, if you missed any of those episodes, you definitely can hop back into the archives at any time. YouTube.com/Spaced Out Radio. You can see there was a plethora of options available this week, and it's going to be even stronger next week, and we commit to raising the bar here. So here we go on the after hours weekend, getting comfortable here. Want to welcome everybody in, and also we will be bringing in our guest for the night, the man of many talents, a man who wears many hats. And we're going to get into something tonight that I think has only really been briefly touched upon. And hello, Christine and Robbie G. Hey, right back at you. Christine, thanks for joining us tonight. And yeah, so we're going to, some things tonight that are some things that I think are important to the overall picture of where we're going as humanity, how we get there. And some of the, sometimes we only think in our little box where, we maybe sitting at home, and we want a sighting. It's nuts and bolts. It's UFOs, and they're coming from the sky, and right. So that's what we're looking at. But we don't look at the other side of it. Bob Lazar said a few key things. We'll get into that. But let me go ahead and bring in our guest for the night, so we can get this conversation going. The man with the plan, the legend. Look, no need for introduction. Let me go ahead and bring the gentleman in, Mr. Jim Goodall. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. No, I came in a little bit earlier, and you were talking, and I went to get a glass of water, came back, and Dave was on. I said, well, am I on a time warp? Did something happen? And then I realized
Yes.
it was a SOR weekly review. So in
Yes,
the honor
yes.
of Spaced Out Radio, I'm wearing this.
Ah,
I
I
got
should
this
have worn
Vegas
mine
last
tonight.
year.
Ah, there
Yeah.
we go. There we go. Representing Jim
Oh, yeah.
Goodall representing. We love
Yeah.
it. We love it.
Yeah.
Tim Osman says Jim Goodall stole my shirt from Vegas.
Oh, probably. I'll be now. I'm going to be in Reno. So if I have my shirt with me, and you want to steal it back, I may let you.
That's awesome. You hear that Tim Osman said he might let you steal it back. Yes, yes, yes. So crazy times, Jim. I'm glad you could join us tonight. You always gracious in giving us your time, and it's always appreciated. I always have a great time with you. So anytime I can get you in, I'm just always excited to do that. Everyone knows you are the man with the plan when it comes to top secret craft and Area 51 and Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. And we can definitely talk about some of that because I still there's things that I'd love to touch there. But there's a whole nother side that I've only heard you speak about a couple times. Which should be like the whole archaeology side of this narrative and you going out to certain locations. And I guess you'll be able to get into talking about that. But I guess I know, okay, I don't know how to lay this out really, but if you want to go ahead and talk about what it is that you're doing outside the country, and then maybe what kind of inspired you to even do it to begin with?
Well, yeah, first of all, it's always been my feeling that if you quit moving, if you quit exploring, if you just, I'm 78. I'm gonna be 79 next month. Most guys my age, not everybody, but a good majority of them, they plop their butt in their recliner, get their beer, say, "Hey, I worked for 50 years. Screw you. I don't have to do anything else." And 18 months later, they die. I want to be a moving target to the Grim Reaper, and
Right.
I don't let my age get in my way. Now, what what I'm going to be talking about here in a few minutes, the thing behind me is a significant part of it. I've been blessed when I was in the military. I did embassy resupply, so I was in virtually all the Central American countries except for Belize. I always wanted to go to Belize for no other reason. I hadn't been there. I've been to all but three of the South American, four of the South American countries: Uruguay, Paraguay, and then the two next to Venezuela near French Guiana. And I had, I believe in fate. People come into your life because they're supposed to. Like you and I were supposed to link up, and immediately I felt extremely comfortable. And that's what I love about this particular community that I'm in. The UFO crazies, as my wife calls it. But she knows I have a passion for it. But I feel so welcome in this family.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd always wanted to go to Belize. I didn't know. I was getting up in age. I'm in my at the time. I'm in my more than my mid 70s. This is 2 years ago. And fate brought me to, I was on with, I forget what the program was. And I don't think it was on SOR, but Jared Murphy was on. Jared Murphy is, he wrote a book called It's Not Aliens, and he's into ancient structures. He's a super guy. He's a fellow Minnesotan, and I claim Minnesota. Even though I was born in California, I claim Minnesota as my home. I have 5 grandsons, a son and a daughter, 2 ex-wives, and I have 2 babies buried there. So it is my home.
Yeah.
And Jared and I all of a sudden it just sort of came together, and I asked him where he lived, and he told me where he lived, and I said, I've been in that building. It was downtown Minneapolis. And I had just left Minnesota 2 days before or 3 days before. So 6 weeks later, I'm back in Minneapolis. I meet, and it was when I met Dave Scott, it was like meeting an old friend for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have that many of those types of experiences. I know people who've never had that type of an experience, but I am drawn to people because of, I think we're transmitting and receiving on the same frequency.
Yes.
But I also had the same feeling. I've gone up to meet people, and I had an immediate dislike for them because I could sense the evil. Now I do have some of that I know in my genes because my Sicilian grandmother, she could do remote viewing, and she could ask her long dead great aunt questions. My grandfather moved the village of Isla de la Femme outside of Palermo up to the San Joaquin Sacramento Delta in a dirty little river town called Pittsburgh, California. At one time, if your name ended in a vowel, I was related to you. 2 years ago, my cousin Cookie passed away, and she was the last human being that I'm related to living in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
But that's where the family's from. But my grandfather, he was in charge of the entire fishing fleet for all the Italians, Sicilians, and Sicilians may be Italians, but Italians can't be Sicilians, and the Portuguese from San Francisco to San Pedro. He was in charge. He was responsible for all of them, and they go up to Alaska for 5 months. Now they're in this. It's a two-cylinder diesel, and they have to follow the tides because they don't go that fast.
Wow.
And they're gone for 5 months. Now Nanu arrived at Ellis Island, or he left Palermo on April 1st, 1901. So by 1902 or 1903, he was already in the San Francisco Bay area, putting together, buying a boat or boats, talking to fishermen, organizing, the fishing, a fishing crew. And he took most of the fishermen from Isla de la Femme, joined Nanu, based out of Pittsburgh, California. And they would do that if they went up in Alaska, and when they shut down commercial fishing in the mid-50s in San Francisco Bay, they went to Monterey Bay. Mm-hmm. So my grandfather would have 5 months in the Bay, in the Delta area, and then 5 months in Monterey, unless he was up in Alaska, and then that sort of swapped out with Monterey. So, but the Nana was the granddaughter of the mayor of Isla de la Femme, and she was the matriarch of everybody who came from Sicily that lived in the town of Pittsburgh. And they would always come to her and says, Angelina says, can you tell me how much money Giuseppe is going to have in his pay envelope? Because you got paid cash. There was no gambling. There was no, there may be some hookers in some of the places they stopped, but most of the time they never, they were at sea almost the whole 5 months.
Yeah.
They'd replenish it, they'd go in and replenish and go back out. So there weren't a lot of opportunities other than gambling. And Nana would say, I'll ask my great aunt when I see her tonight in my dreams. And she'd write down Giuseppe, $314.12. She'd write that on her calendar. And she'd get hold of his wife, Giuseppe's wife, and tell her that this is how much she's going to make. And she may be off $1 or $2. I mean, it ranged from $250 to $3,000, depending on who you were and what you did. Excuse me. So she could talk to her great aunt, and her great aunt would go in and tell her what was going to be in the pay envelope, because the pay, they were probably starting to head home So everybody had their final pay envelope. And half the wives of the crew would come into Nana and say, Angelina, it says, and they'd go down the list, and she would ask everybody, and she was, and the guys knew it too, so they really had to, make sure that they didn't foolishly, use it on, on something foolish, then your wife's going to do. I mean, that's because that was their income for the year, or a good part of it. But if you were now they were sane, I guess they're saners, where they have the nets coming out, and they, in most cases, they were anchored because the currents are so swift. They dropped the nets down, and they say if you fell in the water, you're automatically considered dead. Because when the water is, the only thing keeping the water from freezing is moving too fast. Because they have 45 to 50 foot tides up there at certain parts of the year.
Jeez.
I mean, spectacular watching it. And one morning, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, Nana woke up screaming, Papa fell overboard, Papa fell overboard. And all the kids, my mom and her two sisters and two brothers, and running into the bedroom. She says, Papa fell overboard, but he's okay. He said, I see him. He got his foot caught in a net, and they were able to drag him in.
Okay.
Normally, he would have been gone.
Yeah. Within
so
moments.
when they finally, a month and a half, 2 months later, when they finally got back to Pittsburgh, my grandfather came in, and Nana said, Angelina, I have to tell you something. Says, you almost became a widow. She says, I know. He says, this is the time you fell overboard. This is where you fell overboard. And he was right. She was right on the button. So I know I have I know I have those genes in me. And I've always, I've always really enjoyed and looked, not deeply dove into, but I love ancient cultures. I love ancient history. I love history, period. That's when I was young, I wanted to become a school teacher. But I wanted to be a history teacher. I wanted to teach U.S. history. I absolutely loved it. And today it's not taught, and it breaks my heart. And that's why we have a lot of the rotten people running around that we do, because they don't realize what an incredible country this is. But we'll get off that. But I've always been one for adventure, and I've always been one for not doing what is expected of me, doing a hell of a lot more. When I told my boss in our air guard unit that I wanted to scrounge a Blackbird, he laughed at me. And he said, well, how are you going to get here? I said, well, I got that covered. I talked to the AG at State of New York, and he said, you're ready, you call, we'll haul. So I love challenges. And Jared and I, we were just clicking, and we were going to go down to Peru and look at some megalithic structures. There was a political coup down there. The military took it. I guess a military coup. And the borders were pretty much closed. Machu Picchu was closed, and all the sites. So we decided we were going to go somewhere in April of last year. And we decided, and fate had it so Jared met a gentleman in Salt Lake City where he was then living, who has 7,000 acres near Punta Gorda. So we went down there. He said, we're gonna come down. We're gonna bring a crew with us. We're gonna see if we can identify some megalithic structures on your property. Now, 7,000 acres is just short of 11 square miles. It's a big area. And one of the photos I sent is me trekking in when it was, I think it was 97, and the dew point was in the 80s with no wind.
Miserable sounds like.
I got halfway to where they were going, and I stopped. I said, I just went through I just finished half my water. I'm not going any farther. I'm going to turn around, head back. I'll just wait here and I had 24 to 50 years age over everybody else that was there. Right. Yet I was keeping up with them other than that one day. And that's the hottest I've ever been. But I mean, yeah, I managed to make. But we're talking about the first day we arrived in Belize, or the next full day, we decided we were going to go to see some Mayan pyramids that have been excavated, at least the tops of them. So we went to Lubatum and Nim Lim Puit. And when we're at Lim Nim Puit, walked around the top of the pyramid complex. It's about 1.25 mile walk. And it had rained a couple of times when you're there. And the temperature goes, it's 87 degrees, and all of a sudden the sky opens up. Oh, it's still 87 degrees. So you go from being sweaty to just being wet. And and you don't, I mean, you don't even stop what you're doing. So I had about 10 feet left till I was getting off the top of the pyramid onto a paved sidewalk going, down to the visitor center. And the steps were made by the Mayans back 2,000 years ago, but they were not evenly spaced and a little bit tilted. And I have a real bad sense of balance. I had my auditory nerve severed on this here 38 years ago. So I decided, I see a little path going around because other people saw it and they had the same feeling. So I step over and I'm holding onto a small tree, and all of a sudden face into this pile of rubble, like what you're seeing behind me. And I get a big gash, a slash underneath my knee, and a puncture wound above my ankle. They didn't hurt. It hurt a little bit, but it wasn't, oh my God, I'm injured. And so if you ever cut yourself and it's been raining or you're wet, a little bit of blood goes a long way. And a lot of blood goes a lot longer. You think someone had been slaughtered there. So we left Nimalimput, and as we're driving out, there was a little medical clinic. So we stopped in there, and we had to wait around for the nurse to come. But the doctor was from Cuba, and he's checking me out, and he said, "We got to clean this, and I'll have to wait for the nurse to sew it up because we have at least 8 or 10 stitches to sew you up." So he did that and sewed us all up. The next day, we're out just looking for stuff. Part of the group we were with wanted to go to a set of waterfalls in a little village called Santa Cruz. So we headed in that direction, and as we're driving into the village, there's a sign all covered with moss, Uchbin Ka pyramid, but it was closed. It's not open. But we turned up the road anyway and went in there, and we're at the base of what we call Pyramid A. And a whole group of kids came up with moms selling trinkets and stuff. And then a very nice guy, always smiling. I've never seen him not smile. His name's Alfredo. He is the mayor of the village of Santa Cruz. And we started talking, and one thing led to another, and they were having problems. They couldn't get into, they were talking about the village. So we actually ended up helping them out. And from visiting the 2 existing sites about 30 miles away that have been excavated, and talking to the archaeologists, they said, as we're going to be heading back to Santa Cruz, he said, Santa Cruz is the only site in all of Belize that's not controlled by the federal government. It's controlled by the village. And I said, well, why is that? He said, because the village was cut off from the real world until 2012. That's 12 years ago. And that's when they cut the first road through about 5 or 6 miles of jungle. Before that, you had either on the pack mule or walking, or if you had a dirt bike, you could make it through. But they gave it to them because when they made the laws about ancient sites in Belize, they made that an exclusion zone because it's in the middle of nowhere and no one's be able to get there. So they turned over every other site were near roads and near villages that were accessible. So it was I figured since I gave my blood and my DNA to the Mayan gods, they decided that they were going to reward us with an opportunity to excavate what's behind me. Oh, it's over here. No, over here.
Wow.
That's on the top of we call Pyramid B. There in Richmond College. There's 5 pyramids in the complex. It's the largest complex in Belize. And it's not been this, there's been a little bit of excavation about 10 years ago. And it was just one summer, and they just cleared off some of the weeds, and they grow back fast. But we went the picture behind me was taken in April of 2023. We were there in November as well. But we spent most of our time looking at what we refer to as Pyramid G. It is the tallest pyramid in this 5 pyramid complex, and it's totally isolated from the main group of pyramids, which means it was a very, very special location. It was either the high priest lived there, or the king, or the leader, or the chief, or it was a ceremonial altar for ending it all for people that disagreed with the powers that be. So everything is just sort of falling into place. The thing behind me on Pyramid B, that's an open chamber smokestack, and they would burn sage down at the bottom. I think it goes down another 5 or 6 feet. The rest is overburdened. They haven't removed. But and the smoke would stay within the open chambered chimney. It would flow up, and it would swirl around the top, and the high priest would be up there in the top, saying his prayers to the Mayan gods and doing his whatever he's doing. And then there's a set of steps right there that he would walk down in a ceremonial dress, and there's all sorts of people in attendance and whatever. And that's just one of the things that's sitting there. And that thing that you're looking at a minimum is 2,000 years old.
Yeah.
And the Belize archaeologists that we talked to at Louboutin and Nimlim Puit, they said we now calculating or figuring that the pyramids may be between 20,000 years old up to 200,000 years old, and the Mayans found them abandoned, and they repurposed them for their own use. So this is exciting. If in fact we can prove, and there's ways we can see how long it's been since some of this stuff has been away from sunlight. Jared Murphy knows what the testing is. You have to do it in total darkness as you pull the stuff out and keep it in a black container that is light proof. And then you analyze it. As soon as sunlight hits it, it wipes out that information. But we're going to try to see if we can identify, as we get down to the base of our first pyramid that we're going to excavate, which is Pyramid G. And that's also the biggest one in the country. And we're going to do a LiDAR scan this spring to find out exactly where we're going to start.
How you're going to attack it. That's awesome. So what I'm looking at, the whole archaeological, just the whole aspect of being able to dig that far back into humanity's history is just valuable in itself. I mean, just imagine if you end up uncovering, some sort of something that validates the whole extraterrestrial thing that we're talking about, maybe pictograms or different hieroglyphs or things you may find on the stones.
Every ancient culture throughout Central America, South America, the Middle East, Egypt, say Central America, South America, everywhere throughout the world, there's the same images. There's the eagle-headed creature holding his purse or his Walkman, whatever it was. There are pictures of literally side views of flying saucers, with rays coming down. Some of your art of the 15th and 16th century, it has craft up there with lightning bolts or stuff coming down.
Yeah,
And it's all over the place. I mean, to say that January, in our case, July 1947, was a epiphany as far as they said, our first proof that UFOs were here. No, that's a pimple on a gnat's butt. I mean, it's just it's insignificant compared to what is throughout the world. And then we have the biggest unknown, and unfortunately I don't think I'm gonna live long enough to see it. Antarctica. There is all sorts of weird stuff, and I've sat down and talked with Eric Hecker. He's the one that has spent time down there, and he said when they turned on one of their big machines there at the South Pole, that's when they had the massive earthquake in Christchurch, New Zealand, in December. I'd just been there earlier. Happened in 2010. I was there in 2009, and all the central business district was destroyed. So, but Eric said at the moment they turned on this thing on the South Pole, they have they melted holes going down thousands of feet and putting
little balls in there. Yeah. Forgot what those are called. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And he said, as soon as they did that, there was, almost exactly when they hit the button, says boom, start. That's when the earthquake started, and it was massive. I was in most of those places they were showing, and it was beautiful cathedrals, and nothing but rubble. Their art museum is nothing but rubble. They have such beautiful parks downtown. It's just. I had probably the most enjoyable overseas trip I ever had was going to New Zealand for 10 days, but I was in Australia near Sydney for 3.5 weeks. And boy, if I was a young man, I'd be there in a heartbeat. It's America, 1950, 1960s. As far as life was wonderful for everybody.
Yeah.
They didn't have the prejudices that we had. I can remember watching stuff on TV, black and white TV as a kid.
Yeah.
Like I say, I've been around for a long time, so I've seen a lot. But I've also been blessed with a good memory and a good health, and an opportunity to see things and meet people that. Bob Lazar is a dear friend of mine. I'm gonna go after Reno. I'm gonna go up and spend 2 or 3 days with him. Giuseppe Venatelli, who is the president of the organization that's doing the Bob Lazar movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm listed on the movie credits as technical advisor.
Yeah. I talked to interview Luigi, and he said you played some parts in there. So I'm glad to see that. And then talking about Bob, because I ended up wanting to transition there too, because when Bob told everyone remembers when he told his original story that he had considered potentially some of the craft that he saw as being part of some sort of archaeological dig. So what we'll do, and we'll tie all those things together. Plus, Jim has some awesome photos from the trip on Belize that we're going to end up showing here in hour number 2. But right now, we're going to take a pause for the cause as we get ready to get things together to get back to you in hour number 2 with myself, Mr. Rob G, and the legend Jim Goodall. We will be right back. All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio After Hours, hour number 2, with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, and the legend right over there to the right of me, Mr. Jim Goodall. We're going to be talking some more about Belize and just the importance of archaeological digs. There's going to be no telling what it is that you guys end up uncovering, but before we jump into that, I want to talk to all the space travelers out there, right? You guys are already space travelers. Consider taking the next step and join the club. That's right. You can join our Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers Club for as little as $5 per month by joining our Patreon. And you can do that at any time. We definitely appreciate your love and support of Spaced Out Radio. So jumping into it, Jim, Bob Lazar has said famously in his original interviews, and even same thing today, that he believes that some of the craft that he saw over at S4, which segueing a little bit into the whole film that's coming out this year with Bob Lazar and the Unreal Engine 5 and recreating S4 and all these crafts that he saw, one of them being one that he figured may have been dug up in some sort of archaeological dig. So when you go out there and you guys get the green light to go ahead and begin excavating the site, obviously you may come across just ancient treasures and ancient secrets. But what would, in the side of your mind, are you also keeping the eye open for the extraterrestrial connection?
We're going to do, it costs a lot of money, and that's we're in the process of trying to raise money right now. But do an aerial LiDAR scan of the sites that we've been approved to clear. That's to clear all the vegetation and trees off of all 5 pyramids over, that's going to take, a couple of years. But we have my mind just went somewhere else. I hate that. It's like squirrel. We have been given the okay, the blessing from the nation of Belize, the National Institute for Culture and History. And I know what I was getting into. To do aerial LiDAR, high resolution LiDAR, either with a drone or with an airplane, it's between $30,000 and $60,000. to do that. We do have a company out of Lima, Peru, that Jared has talked to a whole bunch of times, that is willing, maybe as a sort of partner, to give us a deal doing drone lidar. You can get closer, closer to this, subject matter. Airplane, you can do 5,000 acres fairly fast, but we want as high a resolution as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also going to be doing is, in conjunction with the aerial lidar, we're going to be doing hand lidar, and we're gonna go around Pyramid G every 12 feet, and then we're gonna run the thing. It's on about a 6 or 7 foot pole, and it looks like a 2-liter pop bottle turned upside down, and it's silver, and it sends out millions of laser signals out, and it goes around and penetrates all the vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
So just by hitting a button, Tom can take out any
Erase it
trees,
almost, yeah.
anything else there, and you're not gonna be able to go through the dirt. We will with ground penetrating radar, which we're going to bring with us if we find some anomalies that don't make any sense, and we know there's got to be something underneath. We're going to have that capability, but it's about as exciting of a thing I've ever done. The people of Belize, especially all the guys in the village of Santa Cruz, they're as cordial and nice. So when you don't have anything, all you have to give is your kindness, and they do that, and they're very happy. But they're very happy group. But they're subsistence farmers. Pretty much anything they eat, they have grown or harvested somewhere in and around the village of Santa Cruz. So they don't have electricity. They don't have running water. God forbid, they don't even have Wi-Fi. You can't get cell phone coverage or anything in there. It's a dead spot. Again, because it was considered a totally isolated area, which has helped from as far as grave robbers and whatever goes.
Yeah.
On top of the Pyramid G, I didn't make it all the way up to the top. I was just too tired. It's raining to beat hell, and it's hot, and I think I slipped and fell about a dozen times. Didn't get hurt, but it just takes a lot out of you.
Oh yeah.
But when Tom Elmore and Jared Murphy were on top of the Pyramid G, they said it appeared that it not in modern times has it ever been ransacked, because there's nothing uncovered up there.
Mm-hmm.
Not even the appearance of nothing being uncovered. So that's a real positive. And there may be tombs that have not been discovered. Because they usually, if you're buried in a tomb on one of the pyramids, you're somebody, and you're gonna go sometimes with your wife, willingly or not. But the tombs are lined with stone, and big flat stones go over it, and that's how you're buried. I don't know if they put covering over the flat stones and then put dirt over it. The only ones I've seen have all been excavated. So, but they're in the weirdest spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty awesome, because the when you think about it, like, the historic value is gonna be is good or even more valuable than what we have, like, in Giza, in the pyramids that we've already excavated there. Like, this is like new ground for something that might be even older than that. and then just
Yeah.
what you might find. You know what I mean? That's going to be crazy.
But Egypt, that that environment is so controlled by their archaeological
Oh yeah.
entities, and there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing in Belize that universities. Well, no, we don't believe that. We don't use that type of technology. Have you done any core samples on the soils underneath the base of the pyramids? Because the big one, I know the big ones down in Peru, they don't. They're a very geologically active area, and yet you don't see the destruction from earthquakes.
True.
And these things are 2,000 years old or more. The other question is, most of the stones you're seeing behind me are small, but there are significant stones that are visible in and around the base of the two pyramid, actually the three pyramids we've been to that are at Ichbenka. We're sitting on 305 acres, and we have the authority from the Belize government to defoliate, take the trees down, and remove overburden on all 305 acres if we have the manpower and the means to do it. And one of the things we've already started, because it's a jungle and because half the year it's raining to beat hell, and the other half it's not too bad, but it can get hot and steamy. We've introduced goats into the community. That we bought 2 goats for the mayor, and they're both females, and they both have twins, and they're going to deliver her pretty soon. So we're going to end up over the course of the next 6 months buying about 40 goats. Wow. For the village, and we're going to parse them out to various families, because they have goat milk and they have make goat cheese, and they're not going to eat them unless the herd gets so big they want to take out the old ones that aren't reproducing or whatever. But that's what they're going to do, is they're going to put up some type of perimeter to keep them in a certain area on the side of the pyramids to eat the vegetation. I mean, they'll eat it all the way down to the root. And I don't care how nasty. We would clear an area of 100 feet by 100 feet with 3 goats in a week of Pacific Northwest blackberries. Those are just, the fruit is wonderful. And they say there's only one blackberry bush in the state of Washington, and everything you see are all the suckers come up because you can't kill the stuff. But if you want to clear an area in the Pacific Northwest and it's covered with blackberries, you hire goats. There are people who actually rent out their goats to clear your property.
Oh yeah.
And it just cracks me up. So that's what we're going to be doing. We've already started to do that. We're trying to bring fresh water or drinkable water to the village. Right now they go down to the creek. It runs year round, and it has waterfalls on it. And it's just beautiful. It's a pretty area, and they have caves. There's 5 major caves in there. One of them goes from Santa Cruz over to the next village. They're natural made caves, but they found all sorts of Mayan artifacts in them too. Yeah. So we have so many balls up in the air. I mean, I was on a conference call 3 times this week, minimum 2 hours each time, talking to people who are very interested in what we're doing. And possibly can look at some potential funding for us. To do it right, we need about $10 million. And there's all sorts of money-making opportunities there for whoever wants to invest. but we'll just have to wait and see, because we're gonna do a TV series. It's gonna be like Curse of Oak Island, except we're not gonna be digging in a hole for 10 or 12 years and find a stick and a few specks of this. We're sitting on 5, minimum 8 2,000-year-old structures. We're going to be looking at parts of it that have not seen daylight in 500, 800, 1,000 years.
Man,
And I mean, that's
powerful.
to be sitting on one of these things or leaning up next to it or climbing on top of it and think that 2,000 or 1,200 years ago, whatever the time frame is, a lot longer than we've been on that I've been on the planet. But to be up there and think, the last person who was up here was a Mayan chief or a Mayan somebody. Maybe in last time they were up here was in 800 AD, 1,200, 1,400 years ago, and it's just. It's just, as a historian, it's fun. It's exciting. And now I can scratch off. I've been to Belize. So I've been to every country in Central America, a lot of places in Mexico, primarily agricultural areas and some touristy areas. And then in South America, I haven't been to Uruguay or Paraguay, French Guiana, or the other one that's up next to it.
And these are all native lands that you're mentioning there.
Yeah.
I mean, going pure back, with the straight connection that literally just goes. But the people that are there are direct descendants of the Mayans and the people who inhabited that.
One of the advantages for those of us who don't speak Spanish or don't speak Mayan is the country of Belize used to be called British Honduras, and the official language since the British found the place has been English. So everybody speaks English in Belize, and if they don't speak English, they only speak Mayan. All the regulars, everybody who is Mayan, they speak Mayan. And in the country of Belize, to have all this history, the widest part, it's a north and south rectangle. It's about 68 miles on the widest part and about 158 miles top to bottom. And in there, the official population for the country of Belize is 375,000 plus or minus a few. I mean, there are more people outside of Bakersfield. I mean, you look at you look at some of the little farming communities, and they're they could be that big,
right? And
not farming communities, but Modesto. I don't know how big Modesto is. I don't know how big San Bernardino is. Not San Bernardino, but Bakersfield. You live there. What's the population?
You know what? That's a good question. I haven't even looked into it. It's not very many. It's I forget where I looked into. I looked into where we placed, and actually, let me get the answer right now.
Yeah. Oh, there's a computer. Oh,
exactly.
The information machine.
Exactly. Population here. Let me see. Population is 407,615. Kern County, the county itself is 900,000.
But there are more people living within the city limits of Bakersfield than live in the country of Belize.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
now. Let me ask you this, Jim. So the where you're excavating, that's on the gentleman's property that owns the land out there. It's actually on his property.
No, what this is we're on the village's property, the village of Santa Cruz.
Okay.
The other place where you're on the 7,000 acres, that's a private individual, and that's about 30 miles the opposite direction of where we're at.
Okay. It's like I said, it's just to be able to have that opportunity. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely do, uh, understand why a show would be interested in that, because literally every time you stick a shovel in the ground, no telling what it is you might bring up. You can
Absolutely.
uncover a secret that we've all been wanting to know.
And
It's just endless.
and if Bob Lazar's sports model, in fact, was recovered at an archaeological site,
Why not this one? Yeah.
because the crystal skull that everybody, I forget the name of the guy who found it, or they named after him, was at Lobatum, which is, I think as the crow flies, maybe 14, 15 miles away. It was laying on the ground.
Right.
So it's the potential for finding some, oh, jeez, type of reaction should be pretty good. Should be
Yeah.
pretty good. And I'm looking forward to that. And it's just to be able to see, and when you get off all the trees and vegetation off, that's what's taking down the pyramids. Those roots get in there, and it's very, very powerful. And all of a sudden, you'll have a wall crumble or something, and there's all sorts of just debris from vegetation, chewing up the. This is Bright Beckaboo. Yeah, I believe that's one of them that they were talking about. And it was found, say 13 or 14 miles from where we're at as the crow flies. And Uchman Ka is said to be the largest Mayan complex in Belize. And it has the most pyramids. All the complexes like Limbum Puit and Lubatum that we've been to, they're on top of one pyramid. That's it. We have 5 of them. We have a village at the base of pyramids A and B, and across from about 3/4 of a mile from A across the valley into Pyramid G. There's a village down there with identified structures when they did a radar scan back in the 80s. When the country of Belize, the government of Belize, wanted to identify the location of all the archaeological sites.
All right, and I have say hey to Kira. Hello, all you amazing space travelers, and Rob G of Spaced Out Radio. Hey, Kira, thanks for joining us tonight. And we have Bright Beckaboo says, "Oh wow, I want to go to Belize." I do too, Bright Beckaboo. That is definitely one of the places on my list is Belize.
Well, to quote the locals, they refer to southern Belize, i.e., Punta Gorda, as the asshole of Belize. It's not a very city-wise. They're not very pretty. Some of them are very quaint, and the people are wonderful because most of them don't have anything. It's a very, very large Mennonite community down there, and there's also a Confederate cemetery outside of Punta Gorda. After the war, and when during the Civil War, even after all these, what do they call them? You're for whatever reason, my mind's not working right this minute, but all the Confederates. That's what I'm talking about, thinking about. All the Confederate soldiers, even though they were pardoned for anything that anybody would want to nail them for, whatever, they felt ostracized, and a very large number of Confederate soldiers moved to Belize because the language was English, and they wouldn't have to worry about learning another English. But it was also gave them some virgin land to start a new life without any prejudices, about what killed so many Americans killing Americans.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a terrible thing. So it's I have some photographs of them. They won't. I was going to get a scrub brush and cleaner and towels. I was going to clean off a couple of the headstones. And he said, if you do that, they'll arrest you. I said, what do you mean? He says, this is how they were discovered or identified as a national treasure, and we will not alter them.
Wow.
In other words, they're going to let nature just take its course.
I had no clue of that. That's actually awesome information to have.
Yeah.
And that didn't have in it, but it makes total sense. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it makes total sense.
And there's a very, very large Mennonite population down there as well. You'll see them on the side of the road, the black wide brim hat, the white shirt, the suspenders, the black pants.
Oh, yeah.
And their kids are dressed the same way. And they have their donkey or whatever, and they're pulling their cart. They're not like the covered ones. They just a cart, and they sell vegetables on the side of the main highway. And it's the best watermelon and the best cantaloupe and the best fruit I've ever eaten. And this is from the Mennonite. They'll just stop, put a tray table or a table up, and then put their some fruit on it that they want to sell. And they have the whole back of the cars filled with fresh fruit. And that's how they make ends meet. I mean, it's so totally different than you and I just saying, hey, I'm going to crib bike. Let's go to Applebee's, or let's go to Denny's, or let's go to Red Robin, or, well, better yet, let's go to Jack in the Box. They don't have that. And it's, so everything about it is going to be a challenge, but it's less of a challenge because we speak the same language. So they're not they may talk to each other in Belize, and we don't know what they're talking about. But as far as anything official, and the fact is they did a survey of the entire site as much as they can get to. And they're so excited about what we want to do for the village. I mean, what we hope to do for the village is raise enough money is their kids don't have to pay, the parents don't have to pay for their kids to go to school. And these are subsistence farmers, and they'll go out and do carpentry work. They do their masters with a chainsaw and a machete. And every guy walking down the road has a machete strapped over his back, and it's so totally different. And they smile at you, and they wave, they get excited, and they say, "Oh, a bunch of gringos are here, or to plunder our lands or whatever." We want to help. We want to be able to raise enough money through if we do a TV series and for multiple seasons on the excavation of this site. We want to be able to pay for all the kids to go to school. I think it's $500 to $700 per student per year, and being that they're all most of them are good Catholics, they have a lot of kids, and sometimes they can only afford to, if they have 4 kids or 5 kids, they can only afford to send one to school.
Yeah.
What we want to do is, and the total population of the village is like 750. And we want to be able to raise enough money through what we're doing to generate enough revenue, ongoing revenue, that we're able to pay either full or partial tuition for all the kids in the village.
It would be awesome.
Permanently. I mean, it would be as long as it didn't get wiped out by another asteroid hitting the Yucatan Peninsula, because that would be kind of a
day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, we have, and I want to show, because Jim has brought receipts, and we've been saving these for the end of the show. So you see the picture behind him there. But he has a bunch of other ones that we're going to go ahead and take a look at, and he'll kind of walk us through this here. But You see what we have.
There's beautiful entrance, a beautiful downtown Punta Gorda. You can see the road, it winds off. The only area that is really has any continuous pavement is until you get right over the little bridge, which is just down the road another half mile. And then it's like you're driving through a minefield of craters in the road. It's really it keeps the speed down, and they have the biggest speed bumps I've ever encountered. You have to slow down to 4 or 5 miles an hour and creep over them, else you're going to tear the suspension out of your car. So we'll go to the next one.
All right.
Okay, this is downtown Santa Cruz. That's very typical of the house. They have thatch roofs. I asked Alfredo, who is the mayor, he just built an addition to his house. It's 20 by 30, the addition. I said, you have a thatch roof? He said, oh, yeah, that's the only way to go. I said, you never get wet? And I said, no, the way the thatch, the palm fronds are, they're actually U-shaped, and it catches the water and all drains off, and it's all overlaid. I said, well, how many palm fronds you need to do your house? To do a house, 20 by 30. He said, 465 palm fronds will do the job. And they last for a long, long time. So I don't know if we look at building some cabanas, are we going to do thatch roofs? We may, but it would be a metal roof underneath it, just for the sake of any people who may be staying there. We want it to be really nice, and that's going to be a revenue generator for the village. We want to bring. Oh, this is the end of the Bataan Death March. That's after Jared poured water over my head as I'm trying to cool off. It was 97 degrees. The dew point was in the 80s, and they were marching in 6 miles. Now, I'm 28 years older than Jared, and the youngest person there, I'm 50 years older than. So I'm between 28 and 50 years older than everybody. But I made it 3 miles. The reason I stopped is I had gone through half my water. And I said, I'm not going to go any further. I can make it the whole 6 miles, but then you guys are going to have to carry me back.
Yeah.
And I was just absolutely fried. And after Jared left, I stayed there for another half hour or so, and then I walked down the trail to where the vehicles are. I had 3 miles, and I finally got to a point. It was a sort of a shady area in a bend in the trail. I just put my backpack down the trail, laid back, and just waited for the crew to come back, and they did. And it turns out it was only about about a quarter of a mile from the vehicles. So I was really close to home. So, but I knew what my limits were. And here I'm on the side of Pyramid G. And I'm actually sitting on some of you can see right behind me underneath my arm, my left arm, there's a flat rock. That is part of the pyramid. And you can see the stones up above me as part of the pyramid. This is the one we're going to clear. And it's raining to beat hell. I had a walking stick. You can see I had a good oak shovel handle, and it works perfectly. Again, I may have mentioned, I don't have my balance is really terrible. I only have balance out of one ear. I have my auditory nerve severed a long time ago. So when it's real rocky surface, and it had just pissing rain, and it was, but you can see the smile on my face. We're having a good time. So go to the next one.
You are.
Yeah. Okay. These, the guy in the brown shirt, that's Mr. Mayor. That's Alfredo. The gentleman in the blue shirt is Jose. That's his brother. And I can't remember the guy in the white shirt. But if you notice, I don't know if you can see it all, but they all have machetes.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the guy in the white shirt, you can see the machete fairly well. And that's something you carry with you everywhere. It's just part of your daily uniform. And again, we're partway up. Now, I was telling you how they buried very important people. This is one of the grave sites at Limnium Puit, and the body had been extracted before the place was refound in 1923, as they had a group of British explorers found this site and found this tomb raided. So, but that's a typical for a very important person. And then they would put very large flat stones on top, and I don't know if they would cover up with dirt after that. I haven't gotten that far on Mayan history, but it's something I do love. I absolutely love history. And
That is
so
awesome.
you can go to the next one, see which one this is. Okay, this is another tomb, and you see if you see the open tomb, and then right next to it looks like there's a wall, and you can see three flat rocks, I may almost four flat rocks going across, and those are the covers. We believe that was the royal person was in the one that's covered up with the flat stones, and this one was covered up as well. But it's believed when the ruler dies, whether he gets injured and dies in battle, because they were very violent, then their spouse has to go with them, whether they're willing or not. So this is a double grave, or it may be that two very important people were killed during the same event, whatever it was. The archaeologists aren't sure, other than the fact that these were very important royalty type people.
Wow.
Next one. And that's what we expect to find as we clear out Itzban Ka.
Yeah, more of these. Yeah. Let's see.
Okay, right in this area, down near the grassy part. If you look at the grassy part as a V or a triangle, flat triangle, about right in the middle is where one of the crystal skulls, not one of them, but the crystal skull that was discovered here. It was just laying on the ground as you were clearing off the overburden.
Wow.
So it's and there's not a lot of stones like you would find in Machu Picchu, and of course they use much bigger stones for their structures. But you can see some paragonal construction inside, in and about, not everywhere. And I'm looking forward to going to Peru sometime this year as well. So I'll be able to go to Machu Picchu and see a couple other sites. And we're going to be invited. We've been invited by the former Ministry of History for Peru. And this is the area where spectators would watch a gathering or a ceremony or whatever. And
those are seats.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
They don't look very comfortable. I'm sure the royalty up at top would have better accommodations.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. This is a ball court, and spectators were on either side on the grass or up above. You look in the middle of in the center there, you'll see a flat, circular gray object. That was the center of the field. Now, the goal was they would put a ball in a sort of a cup holder, had a rock with it had been dug out so it matched the circumference of the ball, so it wouldn't roll out. And you could not touch the ball with your hands or your arms. You could only use your shoulders, your knees, and your feet. And once the ball went into play, it's airborne, and it can go anywhere. And there may be 8 or 10 players out there, maybe more than that. Whoever is able to get the ball to their side wins. Now, if it's, I don't know if you have to have it, it has to be like volleyball or whatever. I don't know, but there's incentive not to lose. I mean, you can go up into the spectators and kick the ball, out to the opposing team. But sometimes the losing team met their fate on the altar. I mean, they were sacrificed.
Wow.
So there was a lot of reason to give it everything you had.
Yeah.
So again, and this is at I think it's Limpuit, Nim and Limpuit.
That's awesome.
Okay, here's Michael Roser with his shirt off, and there's Jared coming down the walkway where the priest would normally come down, and we're going to eventually all the vegetation you see there is all going to be gone eventually. So
is that where the guy in the middle in the blue shirt, is that slab of wall it looks like there, is that an opening to something, or is it just a wall that's built?
No, earlier I showed you a head-on view, and it was an open chamber chimney where they burn sage at the bottom.
Oh yeah,
and it would swirl up, and it would stay.
Yes.
It would stay in the chamber. It would, even though it was open on one side, and it'd go up and it'd swirl up the top of the pyramid where the priest would be, and he'd be saying what he does or saying the prayers that he does, and then he would come down. He'd come down the staircase, and it went down. And I think it goes down another 4 or 5 feet, but that's as far as that was excavated. And this was about 10 years ago. They were there for one summer. It was some archaeological students from New Mexico, and they lived there the whole time. They brought their provisions. Down in San Antonio, which is a little village before you get to Santa Cruz. So, and this is to show you they do have a sense of humor. This is one of the bathrooms at one of the Caribbean type of, right across the street from this place is the Caribbean, literally right across the street. There's no beach. There's no waves. We're in a very, not a pretty part of the Caribbean. North of Belize and some of the islands, the diving is incredible. The water is so clear. But this is how you determine which one's the ladies' bathroom, which one's the men's bathroom.
Yeah, so the men on the right, I would assume.
Right.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, so
That is funny. That is funny.
Okay, there's another shot of Derek. There's that open chamber I was talking about when you're looking straight into it. Yeah, okay. You can go to the next one. Okay, laying in the parking lot, and you can't see it very well, and it would have to be, I think, scrubbed down a little bit to take some of the moss off of it. But that's a Mayan calendar. Each one of those little squares, you can see they've been sort of scratched out.
Yes.
That is a symbol that tells a story. And what this is, this would be like posting on Facebook, what you had for dinner last week or whatever it is, or it was an announcement that we're going to have We're gonna have a meeting in the central square, on the the second day after a full moon, or the second day, or first day, or 10th day, after the new moon. So it tells you where to go, what to do, and what to expect. And again, this was laying in the parking lot. It was
That's
just there.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and
imagine
that's-
what you're going to end up uncovering.
I know. That's what's so exciting. I mean, it is. It's just yeah, it's going to be fun. Now, that's a typical large building in Belize. I mean, in Santa Cruz, excuse me.
Is this where you stayed?
No, we stayed in Punta Gorda at probably the nicest rental property and affordable. I mean, it's like a hotel or a motel. They have a honor system bar if you drink, and you just fill out your what drinks you had on a little card, and it's right. You go out the gate, and if you trip and fell and rolled, you'd roll down in the water.
Wow.
Yeah. So no, this is just one of the larger buildings in the village, but the thatch roofs they last forever. They cook inside. They don't have lights. They don't have electricity. But as they cook, the smoke will go in and around the palm fronds, and but it won't let rain in. And when it rains, it'd be like a cow peeing on a flat rock. I mean, it comes down in buckets. You can almost drown if you look up. Yeah. And that's not my girlfriend. That's actually Jared's girlfriend. That's Michaela. And we were heading out on our first adventure through into the 7,000 acres, and it's barbed wired off to keep just people who wander in there. Big signs keep out. But we're with the owners of the property, so we're able to go on. So Michaela was one of the guys, and I wanted a picture of me in the jungle. So
Wow.
And is there any more?
That was it. That was
Okay.
it. I wish
Right.
there were more, but
Yeah.
that's awesome. I actually love that shirt too, Jim. I have a button up, the same color, man, and I love it. I love that color, man. So it looks good on you.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah, but just looking at this, it's man, you're in a situation that a lot of people wish they could be in, to be one of the first people to view something that has been dug up on a site that's thousands of years old, a place where you're not just digging, but for a fact that you're going to uncover something there, and it's
Gosh,
just
yeah.
a question about what that thing is.
Yeah.
It could be something small. It could be something humanity changing. It could be, any of those things. So I'm excited for you. When does this all kick off? Do you have any? Or you're in the fundraising portion?
We're in the process of talking to the right people right now. I think by the middle of next week, we will have probably a 2.5 minute blow you out of the water presentation to potential people who are interested in funding it. Roger, good night, sweet dreams. I know northern Belize is for Christine. Northern Belize has beautiful beaches. Southern Belize is there's more jungle down here. So what you're going to find mangrove swamps. I know when I gashed my leg and I got 11 stitches on my first full day there in Belize, the doctor and everybody else who lives down there said, under no circumstances do you go in a river or go into the water here in Punta Gorda, farther north or off one of the islands, not a problem. not in the river, not in that part of the Caribbean, and surely not in the mangrove swamps, because 6 months later you may turn into a swamp creature. Since they've tried to identify some of the bugs that are in some of the rivers flowing out of Belize, and they have to just shake their head and said unknown origin. And it could be flying saucers. Who knows?
Yeah. And I'm gonna put that kind of energy out there. I can't wait till you get there, because I know you're gonna uncover something that is just mind blowing, and I just can't wait to find out what it is. So I'm gonna be right, in touch with you, obviously, while you're there. But when you get back, we gotta hear the story, Jim.
Absolutely. Now, when we go, we're going with a professional film crew. We're going to do some LiDAR work. We're going to do some aerial. I don't know, it's 5K or higher resolution camera work on some drones. They've gotten so sophisticated nowadays. They just do a sweep over the whole area. And it's it's an adventure. I mean, I feel like I'm George of the Jungle or Jungle Jim. I mean, back in the day there was a funny car drag racer named Jungle Jim Lieberman, and I just may find his logo and give me a shirt that says Jungle Jim on it.
Yeah,
Jungle Jim Goodall. Yeah,
the modern day Indiana Jones.
Almost.
Crystal skulls and everything.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a real kick, and I'm looking forward to Reno. I realized I hadn't gotten my confirmation back on my reservation, and I called up Caesars. Yeah. I finally got just to the hotel, and they were able to resolve it. So, you have your room set up and everything else. And they said, I never got a confirmation. Oh, I guess you haven't. I'm sorry. And she hit a button, and I got the confirmation. So I was worried that I would get up there, and no, Mr. Goodall, we don't have a room.
Oh no,
for you.
You'd be good to go. You shack up with Dave or me or a random guy if he shows up. But yeah.
Well, Dave sent me, and I'm going to wear it when we're there, a T-shirt that says "Random Guy." And I'm probably going to stop and see him on my way up.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll be going through Vegas, and I don't know if I'll spend the night in Vegas. Because I'm going to go from our gathering in Reno, and then I'm going to go spend 3 or more days with Bob Lazar. And I think Luigi said, hey, I may just come out at that time, and so we can just have just a hell of a good time, because I won't have a time frame. And then I'll go up to Gresham's and see if my brother's home, and then go up to Seattle for 2 or 3 days, and then head home.
All right. Well, here's what I'll say. No pressure, Jim. When you talk to Bob, you let him know when he goes on that press tour, whenever that is, and he's granting openings to shows, let him know that I would love to have just a different conversation with him. One that he wouldn't have anywhere else. And I would love to have you there when that happens too. That would just be an awesome experience. So
I would love to too. I have been invited to the world premiere of Bob's movie, and they said I invited a couple of people that that I know would go absolutely crazy. I invited Michael Schratt.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to be sitting the same rows as Lazar.
Yeah, that's going to be an awesome experience. And I know I'm going to have Jim or Luigi Venditelli back when it's closer to time for the release. And that should be cool too. So maybe we could line something up.
Well, Luigi had said that they haven't gotten any confirmation, I mean, what the cost is, but they're very interested in having the world premiere at the Sphere there in Las Vegas.
Ooh, okay.
Would that be incredible?
That would be incredible for something that I think is going to be humanity shifting. I really think this moment is, because the story, when you visualize it yourself, when Bob tells it, it's an awesome story, but to see it is going to be a whole nother level of what, retelling the story is going to be epic. I can't wait for it, and it should be fun.
One of the things that Luigi said to me, he said that Bob had not seen some of the real good stuff, and he showed Bob, and he said Bob just had us. He just sort of sat back and go, "Wow." I mean, so. The technology they're using, and again, I am so honored that I'm going to be listed as a technical advisor.
Yeah.
And it's everything about it is fun, and I wish John Lear were still alive.
Right, definitely.
To see this happen. I'm not sure if Allie Lear is going to come out for the world premiere. She born and raised and lived in Vegas most of her in her youth, and she's. I found out when John Lear died, Allie didn't know, wanted to get hold of me because I'm one of his oldest friends. Most of them have died off. And so she called Bob Lazar, and Bob called me. He said that Lear had just passed away. And I think it was March 30th of 21. And it's just a shame. I mean, this guy had, from his aviation experience, not even counting his his UFO passion. And he's type rated in 60 some odd airplanes. He flew around the world on his 16th birthday in his dad's Learjet.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was a human cartoon. He had the best laugh. He had this twinkle in his eye when he was pulling one off on you. You'd think he'd get. I got attacked by the helicopters near Area 51, and I was in his pickup truck. They came down so low, they ripped off all the antennas. He had like 3 or 4 antennas on his roof. They ripped them or bent them, and I didn't realize it. And when I got back that day, John came back out of the garage. I mean, he's come across. He was furious, and he's yelling and screaming at me. And all of a sudden, I see this twinkle in his eye. I said, "Lear, you son of a bitch!" And he stopped and he started laughing. I miss him, and I look around. Most everybody that I grew up with is gone. There's a few that are still hanging around, but there's 33 guys on the wall in the Vietnamese War Memorial that I know. I wasn't friend with maybe 1 or 2 of them, but I knew all 33 guys. And it sort of hit me when my cousin Cookie passed away here in 2022. 22. At one time, everybody in the village or the town of Pittsburgh I was related to, if your name ended in a vowel, and my cousin was the last one. Yeah. And it's just sort of, wow. It was 77 years. I was related to someone there, and now no more. I'd have moved out of Pittsburgh a long time ago because it was just a dirty, filthy little river town right next to U.S. Steel, big steel mill.
Oh yeah, I know.
My grandmother, but Pittsburgh, California, not Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And right in my grandmother's backyard was John Manville's. Oh, they made asbestos-made products there. And I made it to, well, next month is 79. So obviously I'm Superman.
Yes, you are, and you're the legend. That's why we love having you.
Well, yeah,
That's why everybody loves hearing from you, a historian.
I enjoy it. It's fun. I've been blessed. I say I've been blessed with a good memory, and I've been around for a long time, and I've been to a lot of places. And I know a lot of people who haven't. I mean, I know people that have not been ever out of their city limits.
Yeah,
true. I mean, the big cities. But I had a friend from Dickinson, North Dakota. She was 23 before she ever ventured out of North Dakota.
Yeah.
How in the hell can that happen?
Yeah, I know.
23, I was already in and out of the military, 5 years active duty. Yeah.
There's a reason why it's pretty deep, going into those reasons, because there's a lot of people like that, never leave their city limits. They're complacent where they're at. Don't really have that need or feel the need to go out and see what else is going on. So there's just a subset of people who are just fine where they're at and just happy.
My cousin Cookie was one of them. She lived within about 4 miles of where she was born. And what day is my birthday? March 27th, 1945.
March 27th. So we're going to have let me see, what day is that? What day is that this year? March. That's going to be on a Wednesday, so we may have to crash Dave Scott's show on Wednesday, March 27th, and make it the Jim Goodall birthday bash show. I think I'm calling for that. I think I'm going to call for that one. So
yeah,
we got to do it, Jim. Man, I do appreciate you coming by. I appreciate you giving your time up and coming to hang out. It's always great when you're here. You always have something valuable for the audience. I think they really loved hearing you talk about Belize today.
And I appreciate your friendship, and I enjoy being on the show. And I adore Dave Scott and that weirdo that he hangs around with, the Science Bob. I just love that old son of a bitch, and he feels the same way towards me. And like I've said, I have never felt so welcome and so comfortable in a group of people than this community. And I tell anybody and everybody who has a program, if you need somebody, and you need somebody to fill in a spot like tonight, if I'm available, I'll do it. And I don't care what the subject matter is. I can talk about almost anything.
Yeah.
Especially I know what most of the questions are, or the subject matter, I should say, of this whole community. So I can speak fairly intelligently on most things, and the ones that I can't, I will tell you I can't.
Yeah.
I don't pretend to give myself more credit than I'm. What you see is all me. I don't pretend to be anybody else.
Yeah, that authenticity, I think, is what does it. I mean, because I'm the same way. I'm just the guy you see is the guy I am, and it's just genuine people, nothing to hide, and you're just a good guy all the way around. I haven't seen a bad side of you yet. Even though those Area 51 guys seem to not get along with you well, I don't know what it is. I don't know what's wrong with those guys. But you're definitely a great guy, Jim. So I appreciate you once again.
Well, I'm delighted to be here, and I was glad I could help fill in tonight. And I hope it was enjoyable.
It was more than enjoyable. Ladies and gentlemen, This has been Jim Goodall. You know, we pushed the break back late because we're just going to get every little ounce of Jim that we can get tonight. So
I'm honored.
Once again, Jim, thanks so much for coming by. We will be in touch, and we'll snag you again. You know, you're always open, so we'll just snag you again one day and bring you right back on.
And I will see you in Reno.
Yes, sir. 3 months.
Yep.
The countdown is on.
Yep. Sounds good, my friend. You take care.
Jim, you have a great rest of your night, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Adios.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gents. That was the legend Jim Goodall. And yeah, once again, awesome show, right? Awesome show. So we missed our third break, but we're going to go ahead and get ready to jump into that right now. And we get ready for hour number 3 right here at Spaced Out Radio. So we'll be back in just a minute. You guys kick back. See you in just a minute. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. After hour number 3 with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. And for the final hour, we're going to go ahead and do a couple different things. We're going to go ahead and, as you see on the banner at the bottom of the screen, SOR Cryptid Stories. So we're going to go ahead and read one from Lon Strickler's PhantomandMonsters.com. Looks like he has a good one here called Glimmerman. So we're going to go ahead and read that. And then once we're done, maybe we'll do a little trivia because I saw someone mention it. And it's like, hey, let's do what you guys want to do. And if it ends up being trivia at the end of the night, then that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and get my stuff all set up here. But first, we're going to read Lon Strickler's PhantomandMonsters.com. So I have to make sure that I am in the correct chat for when this goes down a little in a moment or so. All right, so we are going to go ahead and jump into Lon Strickler's PhantomandMonsters.com. See, it's a creepy one here. And let me actually bring it up here on so that you guys can see this here as well. So give me just a moment. Pretty sure I have it saved. All right, and I do. Okay, so let me go ahead and bring this on the screen so you see what it is we're looking at. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into this. PhantomandMonsters.com, Lon Strickler. Make sure you guys go and check him out. Show some love over there. Support the page. He has a bunch of awesome stories that people submit to him from all over the world. And some of them are just, weird. Some of them are spooky, creepy. When we had Travis on a few weeks ago, we read the one where the skinny moose was screaming help like a human, right? With red eyes. And so that was pretty crazy, pretty weird. And we're going to see what he has here today. So it looks like it's called Glimmerman, as you can see there. I'm going to go ahead and read what it is that was submitted to him. So he states, a Montclair, California teen is at home washing dishes when he notices something while looking out of the kitchen window. The, quote, Glimmerman entity eventually got into the house, alarming the witness. He says, I received the following account. I always liked hearing ghost stories as a kid, but never found them scary, as I firmly believed that such things did not exist. This view changed during my high school freshman year in the early 1990s when I was living in Montclair, California, which is in San Bernardino County, about a half an hour drive east of Los Angeles. So not some rural or remote area. The house I lived in was about a 10-minute walk from the high school, so each day my mom would take my sisters to school on her way to work and pick them up on her way home. This meant I had the entire house to myself from about 7 a.m. to about 6 p.m. This incident took place in the afternoon after school let out around 3:30 p.m. to 4 p.m., so not in the dead of night when the eyes can play tricks. The house had no dishwater, just a double basin, or dishwasher, I'm sorry. The house had no dishwasher, just a double basin sink and a drying rack. So I did dishes by filling one side of the sink with hot soapy water, and using the other side for rinsing. Being Southern California was literally a desert before the city was built there, we were going through our regularly scheduled California droughts, and everyone had to do their part to save water. For me, this meant filling the hot water side of the sink only about a third of the way, maybe 4 inches or so, and laying the drinking glasses on their side so they can be completely submerged. I also pulled out and scrubbed every dish before turning on the water to rinse anything. So on this particular afternoon, I was washing glasses and had a few on the left side soaking and 2 on the right side waiting to be rinsed. I had grabbed and started scrubbing a third glass when I saw it. Like most houses, there was a kitchen window right above the sink, and this one gave a view into the backyard. My hands were sort of on autopilot as I had been doing dishes by hand for years, and I was just staring mindlessly out the window. What I saw looked like a faint outline of a person, maybe 5 feet tall, walking through the yard. It immediately made me think of the movie Predator, as this thing had a head, shoulders, and torso. The legs were a bit harder to see just from the angle of how I was looking through it, but I didn't believe it was an entity of any sort. I guess that there was a length of fishing line caught in the wind or hanging from a helium balloon or kite that just happened to be blown into this shape by the wind. Except it maintained the same shape and wasn't moving like it was being blown. It seemed to be moving against what wind there was. It then went under the overhanging branches of a large tree and just sort of stopped there. I was now completely at a loss for what this could be as I stared at it. Presumably, it was also watching me as well. It seemed to be swaying back and forth like a person shifting their weight from one foot to another. I started drying off my hands so I could go out the back door to get a better look at it. It suddenly took off toward the corner of the house and out of sight from the kitchen window. I quickly went to the back door so I could catch whatever it was before it was gone, but a loud, hollow thump sound stopped me. It sounded like something had fallen or collapsed inside of the house. I left the back door and went looking room by room for what happened. I found something amiss when I got to the bedroom. My closet door was open. I have an almost OCD habit of keeping drawers, cabinets, and closets closed. And a shoebox of trinkets that I kept on the top shelf of the closet was in the middle of the room, open, and all the stuff inside arranged in a circle around the box. However, I ignored this for a moment to look out my bedroom window, as when I lost sight of the, quote, invisible man, it would have been right outside that window. I didn't see anything. I picked up the items, put them back in the shoebox, and placed them back on the shelf where they had been. My mind started trying to figure out how it got to the ground to begin with, as it wasn't on the floor in front of the closet, but a few feet away and off at an angle in the middle of the room. I also wondered how it could have hit the ground just right to have everything in it splash out in a circle and not just dump out in a pile. But I set that thought aside and went back to the back door to see if whatever I had seen earlier was still around. I stopped dead in my tracks walking through the kitchen because the glasses I had scrubbed were back in the left basin. The basin itself no longer had water in it, but the plug was still in place, and the glasses that had been on their side, along with the 2 that had been taken from the right basin, were now upright, filled completely with water, and arranged in a circle in the sink around the drain. This was not something that could happen by accident. It was a deliberate act, which meant there was someone in the house. I reached under the kitchen sink and grabbed a big, heavy pipe wrench for protection. I then went to the back door and to find it locked, the deadbolt locked, and the security latch locked. I went to the front door, and it had also all had 3 locks secured. I then checked all windows in the house looking for a break-in and half expecting to see our idiot drug dealing neighbor rummaging through our stuff. However, all the windows were closed, intact, and latched. I checked under the beds, in the closets, and even in the crawl space attic storage area, but found nothing. The whole time I was announcing myself, saying things like, "Whoever you are, you better come out and show yourself right now." But nobody came because nobody was there. I was understandably frightened, but once I had cleared the house and found nothing, I was more confused than scared. I grabbed the cordless phone and stuck it in my back pocket, thinking I would call 911 once I found a broken window or intruder. I was getting ready to call 911 anyway, but was suddenly struck with the realization that I didn't know what I was going to report. Someone broke into my house, moved dishes around, and locked everything from the inside somehow behind them. I went back to look at my closet and look at the sink, trying to find some sort of explanation other than another person in the house. I had temporarily forgotten the thing I saw in the backyard, but remember when I was retracing my steps, could whatever it was in the backyard be linked to the things happening inside the house mere moments later? That seemed impossible. The idea that some sort of entity walking through the backyard came into the house and did this was completely ludicrous. But it was also the only explanation that I could find, even though I really didn't want to believe it, because that would mean such beings really do exist, and everything I thought I knew about science was wrong. Okay, so great story. Pretty heavy as well when we think about that, because there are some things that resonated with my sighting, and I've shown you my shadow person. You've seen my shadow person captured on camera. And some of the things that this person said in this story kind of resonated because it's some of the things that I had done. So the person said that that he checked the crawl spaces. Yeah, so checked under the beds, in the closets, and even the crawl space attic storage area, but found nothing. Now, when I was hearing those footsteps across the roof, I would do that in the studio that I'm in now. When I was hearing those footsteps across the roof, I went outside. This door right here is a door to my left, and walked around because there's access to the crawl space area. And I literally looked to see if something was up there or someone, because it was something that was walking across the roof for sure. So this really resonates with me and the whole entity thing. Now, the only thing that didn't happen is, I haven't run across things being physically moved or things like that. But this story hits home for me. I can definitely believe what is being said here. And, based on the photo that I showed you, we know these shadow people and entities are real. There's definitely something real there, and whatever it is, who knows? But I think I've shown you enough receipts if you didn't believe before. So with that being said, great story. Lon Strickler's PhantomandMonsters.com. Make sure you guys go ahead and go support his channel and check out his stories. So what we'll go ahead and do now, since we do have a few minutes left here, let me go ahead and bring this off of the stage. Okay, and what we'll do, this is viewer's choice. So we're gonna call it the viewer's voice. The viewer's voice says they want to go ahead and do a little bit of trivia for the last few minutes here. So guess what? Spaced out trivia it is. These ones are gonna be a little different. These questions and answers. Let's get the jazzy trivia music up here. Get your fingers ready. So these will be questions that haven't been asked before, related to space, and also we'll have some paranormal stuff in there as well. So I am watching the YouTube chat because everyone says that it shows differently in YouTube chat than it does in StreamYard chat. So you see that YouTube chat is up. You guys, I mean, shout out to Tomoth Man because he crushed it like the last couple times. But guys, don't let Tomoth Man outdo you on this one. Come on. LOL. Just kidding, Tomoth Man. Crush it. Crush it again. Okay, so. Tomoth Man, only Joe said that, Rob. Yeah. You know, and this one is going to be a little different. So we're going to get into some of the space and then paranormal. So here's the first question. Fingers ready. And actually, let me bring up the other chat over here as well. Fingers ready. All right, here we go. Question number 1. What is the largest planet in our solar system? What is the largest planet in our solar system that we know of? What is the largest planet in our solar system? And I think we have someone who has gotten the answer first. Yes, we do. That is going to be Van Gogh. Van Gogh with Jupiter, the gas giant. The gas giant. And I always felt some kind of way when they say that it's completely gas. I can't wrap my mind around that, right? I mean, I guess, but I can't wrap my mind. Do we really know what's going on underneath there? I don't know. All right. Van Gogh gets the first one. Second question. Which galaxy is the Milky Way's closest neighbor? Which galaxy is the Milky Way's closest neighbor? Oh, that's funny, Jeremy Jones. The gas giant. You mean Dave Scott after Taco Bell? Funny, Jeremy Jones. That's hilarious. I have to star that and save that for Dave. He might agree with you. All right, so looks like we have the correct answer here. Even though he didn't spell it right, we're going to give it to him. To Mothman. Andromeda. Andromeda it is. Andromeda it is. So Mothman scores 1. It is Andromeda. Okay. What is the name of the first artificial satellite launched into space? What is the name of the first artificial satellite launched into space that we know of? Because we all know there's a secret space program, so. Oh, okay, Van Gogh. Van Gogh got it with Sputnik, because it is Sputnik. That's one we know of. Sure, there's probably ones that preceded that, but as far as they tell us, it is Sputnik. Okay. What is the great red spot on Jupiter? What is it? What have scientists and astronomers told us that the red spot on Jupiter is? What is the great red spot on Jupiter? Yes, Tomatman gets it with storm. Supposed to be some really huge storm that moves around the planet. If you've ever seen it time lapse, it's huge. I think the spot itself is bigger than Earth, if I'm not mistaken. And it is, yeah, perpetual storm. There we go, Puck Elf. Yes. Excuse me. All right, so Mothman got that. It is a huge storm. All right, so who was reportedly, supposedly, the first person to walk on the moon? Allegedly, who was the first person to walk on the moon? If you believe the NASA story, who was the first person to step on the surface of the moon? All right, here we go. Mothman's trying to pull ahead and run away with this thing. Neil Armstrong is the correct answer. Supposedly, Neil Armstrong, if you want to believe that that was an actual moon landing, then he was the first person to land on the moon. I'm not here to say either way, but I'll leave that up to you. Okay. Pretty easy one coming up. Anybody's answer. Just get your fingers ready. Anyone should be able to get this one here. What planet is known as the red planet? What planet is known as the red planet? Yep, the red planet is Mars. Mothman gets it again. You guys are just gonna hand it to Mothman. Puck Elf bans Tim from answering. Yeah, Puck Elf. Tim is fast with it. He's fast with it. Okay, so we got Mars. All right, so what is the approximate distance between the Earth and the Sun on average? What is the approximate distance to the Sun? Earth to the Sun. Okay. Yeah, we're just going to pass on this one because no one is even remotely close. So, it is approximately 93 million miles. 93 million miles and some change, which is pretty far. All right, so this should be a good one. What spacecraft holds the record for the farthest distance traveled from Earth? This is one that I'm just amazed by. I talked about maybe a week or so ago. The spacecraft that holds the record and is continuously every second is breaking the record on distance from the Earth. Yes. Yes. Puck Elf, it is Voyager. It is Voyager. Okay. And Voyager, just to put it in perspective, guys. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 launched in 1976 and 1977. They have been traveling away from the Earth. Essentially, they made some rotations around planets and orbits around planets and kind of slingshot and came back and went back. So out of all that, essentially, we're putting that aside, it's been traveling away from the Earth for sure over 40 years on a straight line away from Earth, and it's still going at I think the top speed at one point was like 33,000 miles per hour or something like that. I think it's closer to like 16,000 miles per hour at this point, and just every second just traveling further and further from the Earth. Bananas. Okay, so I don't know who will get this, but let's see. What is the name of the bright star that marks the North Star? What is the name of the bright star that marks the North Star? I don't know if you'll get it. Oh, I think we did get the right answer. Yep, we did. I missed you, Jeremy. Jeremy Jones with the correct answer. Polaris. It is Polaris. Great job, Jeremy Jones. Okay. What is the process by which a star exhausts its nuclear fuel and collapses? What is the process by which a star exhausts its nuclear fuel and collapses? What is that called when the star... here we go. We'll spread the wealth around me woken. It is a nova or supernova. We got a Deb from Sacramento sighting. Deb from shout out Deb from Sacramento. All right, so let's keep going here. Which planet has the most moons in our solar system? Which planet has the most moons around it? I wouldn't know this one off the cuff, I'll tell you the truth. So we shall see who gets this one. Yep, looks like it's going to be Deb from Sacramento with Jupiter. Jupiter is the most moons. Largest planet with the most moons. Okay. All right. Makes sense. Okay. What do we got here? Okay, let's see who gets this one. Who proposed the heliocentric model of our solar system, placing the sun at the center? Who proposed the heliocentric model of the solar system, placing the sun at the center? No correcto answers. So let's go ahead and give you the answer. So the answer would be, so the question was, who proposed a heliocentric model of the solar system, placing the sun at the center? That would have been Nicholas Copernicus. All right, moving on. Okay, which space telescope was launched in 1990 and has provided stunning images of the universe? Which space telescope was launched in 1990 and has provided stunning images of the universe and was just recently replaced by the James Webb Telescope? What is the name? Okay, I think we got an answer here. Lex Diaz. It is the Hubble telescope. Man, I thought it was the bee's knees, right? Bringing back awesome images. And then James Webb stepped in the building and showed us that we don't know anything about the universe. Thank you, James Webb, for bringing us back to reality. Maggie M10. We had Mary Rodwell on just for you about a week ago. Hope you got a chance to see it. Shout out to Maggie M10. Thanks for joining us. Okay. Okay. What is the name of the phenomenon where light from a distant object is bent by a massive object's gravity? What is the name of the phenomenon where light from a distant object is bent by a massive object's gravity? Nope. What is the name of the phenomenon where light from a distant object is bent by a massive object's gravity? Oh, looks like we're going to learn this one today, as no one has gotten the right answer yet. And once I say it, you'll be like, oh, yeah. So I'm going to give it like 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So it is called gravitational lensing. Gravitational lensing. We hear about that a lot. Gravitational lensing. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and we have a few more questions here. Let me see. These ones are going to be more of the paranormal type. So let me find a good one. Okay. What paranormal phenomenon involves objects moving without any apparent physical cause? What paranormal phenomenon involves objects moving without any apparent physical cause? I do see the correct answer. And it looks like it is Deb from Sacramento. It is telekinesis. Telekinesis. Which our guy Drew Banky came in and kind of talked to us about that and showed us about the pendulum. And so yeah, go back and watch that episode if you want to see some good information on telekinesis. All right, good job, Deb from Sacramento. Okay. What term is used for the ability to communicate with the dead, often through a medium? What term is used for the ability to communicate with the dead, often through a medium? This one might be a little tough. I think it could have been worded differently. So I'll just give it to you. It's mediumship. It's mediumship. No one got it. So, okay. What is the phenomenon where individuals report being taken by extraterrestrial beings for examination? What is the phenomenon where individuals report being taken by extraterrestrial beings for examination? Okay. According to YouTube chats, that one's going to Maggie M10. That would be an alien abduction. Something I don't wish on my worst enemy. I do not. Let's see. Let's try to fit two more in. If I can find two good ones here. Okay, what is the term for a sudden, unexplained loud noise often associated with haunted locations? What is the term for a sudden, unexplained loud noise often associated with haunted locations? What is the term for a sudden, unexplained loud noise often associated with haunted locations? Yeah, no one's getting it. So it's gonna be poltergeist activity would be the answer. What is the name for the ability to see events or receive information beyond normal human perception? What is the name for the ability to see events or receive information beyond normal human perception? What is the term that they use for a person who has the ability to see events or receive information beyond normal human perception? Okay, there we go. I see the right one. And that would be Susan Alloway. Clairvoyance. It is clairvoyance. All right. Okay, and in paranormal investigations, what is an EVP? In paranormal investigations, what is an EVP? In paranormal investigations, what is, okay, I see it right there. Electronic voice phenomena. Yes, correct answer. Maggie M10. And let's go ahead and try to bang one more out. Let me see. Okay, which legendary creature is said to be a reanimated corpse, often depicted feeding on the blood of the living? Which legendary creature is said to be a reanimated corpse, often depicted feeding on the blood of the living? Not the brains, but the blood of the living. Okay, all right. I see the correct answer here. Lex Diaz with vampire. All right. Let me go ahead and tally up these scores here. If I can keep track here. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and tally up the scores. All right, we got Van Gold with 1, 2. All right, looks like 2. We got Mothman with 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we got Puck Elf with 1. All right, we got Jeremy Jones with 1. We got Me Woken with 1. We got Deb from Sacramento with 1, 2. We got Lex Diaz with 1, 2. We got Maggie M10 with 1, 2. And we got Susan Alloway with 1. So ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for the winner once again to Mothman. All right, to Mothman, congratulations on another epic win on SOR Spaced Out Trivia. You did it again. You did it. It's a three-peat. It's a three-peat for Mothman. He's like the LA Lakers or the Chicago Bulls with the three-peat. Mothman, congratulations. And like I said, everybody's a winner because you walk away learning things that you didn't know before. Some of these terms, some answers to these questions. Maybe you weren't first, but as long as you heard what the right answer was and you put that in your mental data bank, then that's there for next time. That's there for all eternity. No one can strip you for that knowledge that you have. So everyone's a winner here tonight, and we do appreciate you guys participating, and we do this one for you guys. So we will have, and we'll spring it on you. We won't make this, we'll do this in special times, special moments, and we'll make sure that we get everybody in. But what I do want to do real quick here is go ahead and point out our super chatters for the night. Awesome support. We do appreciate you. Jason McDaniel, we appreciate your support. Vaughn, we appreciate your support 2 times. Appreciate you. We appreciate you. Aloha Dave, thank you very much for your support. Space Out Radio and Lala Brights, thank you so much for your support of Spaced Out Radio. So what we're going to go ahead and do is what we do at the end of every show. We want to go ahead and talk about our space travelers out there. Consider taking the next step and join the club. That's right. You can join our SOR Space Travelers Club for as little as $5 by joining our Patreon. I want to go ahead and real quick before I close it out. Make sure that you guys are here tomorrow. We have Dennis Carroll here. It's actually someone that was suggested by a viewer as well. And we're making sure that we're doing that for you as well. So I posted another post on Facebook, asking about others that you guys might want to see. That's what matters. We want to make sure that the people that we bring in and interview are the people that you want to see and you want to hear from. So let me know. Just like last time, I went ahead and I got the job done, and I'm going to continue to get the job done on behalf of you all. So I do hope you all appreciate the work that goes into that. Maggie M10, thank you for that wonderful, awesome super chat. And we have a lot of great guests coming up. Keep an eye out. But until next time, I want to go ahead and tell you that we appreciate your support. And to all our viewers and listeners across the globe, thank you for tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio where we do what we do best, always. And what is that, you ask? We own the night. See you guys same time tomorrow, as we will have another wonderful show tomorrow. Sunday will be awesome. Thanks to Jim Goodall for coming through tonight. And you guys have a great rest of your night. Take care.